From the East Coast, this is Fox Populi.
And from the West Coast, this is Shaqueera.
And this is Sophisticated Culture. So, today we're going to address the very tragic recent death of Jill Sobule. We discussed her song, I Kissed a Girl, not to be confused with the Katy Perry song of the same title, on our first episode. And in the time since Jill Sobule died in a house fire, which is just a really shitty way to die, there's just been an outpouring of appreciation for her. I have not seen anyone say a single negative thing about her. You know, apparently she was just a wonderful person. She was easy to work with, very encouraging to other artists. So I just, it's only appropriate that we, pay tribute. And, she opened a door for a lot of queer artists with her honesty in her lyrics, not just with I Kissed a Girl, but she wrote a number of songs about being bisexual and about, what it means to be queer in society. There was a very cheeky song that she wrote called The Gay Agenda, during the Bush years, which mocked the way that the Republicans were weaponizing and scapegoating gay people in order to get the proverbial Joe Sixpack to vote against their economic interest, which is a standard Republican tactic, of course. But yeah, I mean, this is a tragedy to have lost her at such an excruciating way at too young an age. She was in the middle of doing a tour. She was about to play a big show in her hometown of Denver, and everyone's just in shock. I know that among Todd Rundgren fans, because Todd Rundgren produced Jill Sobule's very first album, so there's been there are a lot of Todd Rundgren fans who are also kind of tangential, if not more, fans of Jill Sobule, and so there's been a lot of mourning among his fans for her. But yeah, it's just.
Yeah, Fox, do you know anything, since you're much more, well, I'm not really involved in the Rundgren fandom at all. Do you know how they met or anything like that, or got to?
I'm actually not sure. I know that that Jill Sobule definitely regarded him as a genius, well before she ever worked with him, and apparently he was difficult to work with, which is something that everybody says about working with Todd, because he is a notorious perfectionist control freak in the studio. But that's kind of standard procedure for Todd. That's one of those things where if you work with a genius, you kind of have to put up with everything about the genius. People have said the same thing about working with Stephen Sondheim. There's a certain element of geniusdom that can be very difficult to work with, but I'm not sure how they met. But I know that even after it was difficult for her to work with Todd, she still had the utmost respect for him, and ultimately, they had a good interaction. They remained friends. She made some guest appearances at his shows over the years, and vice versa. And Jill Sobule made an appearance with a prog rock tribute band called She-Ra, and performed some Todd Rundgren songs. And there are some great footage of that. But it's interesting to me to think of Jill Sobule working with Todd Rundgren, because Todd is neurodivergent, and and it's just interesting to look at some of the high-profile people who have identified with his music, and just the overlap between the isolation and experience of being neurodivergent and being queer. And I say that as someone who is both, which is a real uphill battle. But just looking at Jill Sobule singing "Just One Victory," which is one of Todd's classic songs. It's the final track on "A Wizard or True Star," and it's an anthem for underdogs. It's an anthem. It's a real life raft of a song. If you have ever felt isolated and feeling like you're the only person in the world struggling with what you're struggling with, it's something you can grab onto and feel less alone. And I know that the former mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, who is a black lesbian, is a big Todd Rundgren fan, and that song, she cited that song on the campaign trail when she was running for mayor the first time, and so I think that it's a song that has a lot of resonance with anyone who's marginalized. And so hearing Jill Sobule sing this song in this particular clip, I don't know, it just really hits home. It's if you can be a life raft to other marginalized people, then I don't know, I think that's one of the greatest things you can do in life. And that's certainly something that she did. If the reaction to her death is any indication, she was a life raft for a lot of people out there.
Absolutely. And to add on to what we said about her during our first episode, I mean, I have to say that I didn't know very much about her. I said that at the time. I knew that song. I knew the I Kissed a Girl song. And also, I guess I went and revisited the song Supermodel as well, which was prominently featured in the 1995 movie Clueless, but I remembered it, but not like the back of my hand. But yeah, I started looking more into some of her discography after this because actually my partner reached out to me and was like, weren't you just talking about this person on your podcast? And I said, yeah, then the news was shocking. But I started looking at the fan responses and responses sort of in the queer community, and everyone that she interacted with basically just had amazing things to say about her. I wanted to read, there's a comedian, Carolyn Bergier. Actually, I don't know how you say her last name. I think it's Carolyn Bergier. And she used to co-host a podcast called Diking Out that Jill Sobule was on. And this is what she wrote on Instagram. Carolyn, that is. Just devastated. I met Jill Sobule when she came on Diking Out in the early days of the pod and was immediately charmed. We kept in touch and she'd perform on my shows and I'd go support hers. She was brilliant, prolific, down to earth, hilarious, and had the biggest heart. She cared deeply about justice for all and spread joy to many. The world is a darker place without her. If you're not familiar, do yourself a favor and listen to her music.
Amen.
Yeah, and I did listen to some of the music. I haven't listened to her whole discography yet, but I went and listened to at least half of Things Are Different Here, the album that Todd Rundgren produced. And I think some things that I noted were the song Sad Beauty was... This is overused, but I think it's actually apt here, that the melody of it really reminded me of Joni Mitchell in some ways, and some of the production also reminded me of Joni Mitchell production, but specifically in like the Hissing of Summer Lawns era. So I thought that was a cool track. I also liked Life Goes On Without You, loved the sound of the guitars on it, and I've read that she's written a lot of other songs, like known for writing insightful, witty songs, a lot of commentary and social commentary. Actually, so I also, just before we started recording, was listening to a song of hers that came out in 2009, and it was called "Where's Bobby Gentry?" And that song, for those who don't know, Bobby Gentry is a singer-songwriter who had a really big hit in 1967 called "Ode to Billie Joe," and it's kind of I guess people would say a gothic, somewhat country-infused song. She also had some duets with Glenn Campbell, and she also wrote the song Fancy, which became a big hit for Reba McEntire as well, and some other songs that were modest hits. And anyway, she was huge at that time, and then after about 10 years of being in the spotlight, she retreated from the spotlight and really has never come back. And this song that Jill Sobule wrote, it incorporates the riff and actually quite a bit of the melody of "Ode to Billie Joe," and is basically just saying that where's Bobby Gentry, and envisioning where she might be and what the narrator might say if they interacted with her.
Interesting.
Yeah, she just seems like a person who had a lot of interests, and it's interesting. I was thinking about, people say, you write, her songs covered a lot of different topics. She has songs about anorexia. She has songs about MAGA and about politics. And songs on her first album, she has a song where she was envisioning a conversation, or recounting a conversation with a woman, presumably in Spain, and they're just discussing back and forth different expectations of women and of widows in particular. So it's just interesting because a lot of times I get sick of, I mean, her subject matter really was it covered a wide swath, and I find that interesting, more so than I get sick of hearing songs about the same content over and over again. I know there's definitely a place for love and lust in songs, but I like to get out of that territory too sometimes.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Well, you were saying something about the Go-Go's?
Yes, so the Go-Go's apparently wrote a song about Jill Sobule called "So Jill," and there's even a verse where one of the members admits to having kissed girls.
Nice.
Let me see if I can look up the lyrics.
I didn't even know they were still making music. That's cool.
Well, I think it's from a while ago, the song.
I see.
Yeah. But let's see, one of the, so the lyrics of the first verse. I watched her playing and noticed she knows a lot of chords. I've got a handful and never seem to learn more. I don't understand it. It isn't fair that she's so neat. She's got more talent. At least I wrote We Got the Beat. So Jill, so Buell, so ill, so cool. Oh girl, you rule. So Jill, so Buell.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I gotta look that up.
And then further down, one of the later verses. I kissed a lot of girls, but I never admitted it. She kissed just one and turned it into a massive hit. I am so bitter. The more she sings, the worse I feel. But why should I care? At least I wrote Our Lips Are Sealed.
That's very clever. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta listen to that. Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I wanted to note was that Jill Sobule was Jewish.
Yep.
And I know I've read, like I said, I haven't gone through her whole discography yet. I've read that she does write about that experience as well, and that it influenced.
Yes, she has a particular song where she's asking someone that whether they would hide her in their attic if there were a Holocaust, saying,
well, yeah,
if
interesting.
Something like that happened again, would you hide me in your attic? Which feels like a very pertinent question nowadays. But anyway, so when someone dies in Judaism, we say Zichrono Livracha, which means may his or her memory be for a blessing. So Jill Sobule, Zichrono Livracha. I wish I knew what her Hebrew name was. Then I'd be able to say the full phrase in Hebrew. But not knowing it, I can just say Jill Sobule. Zichrono Livracha.
Agreed. Well, that's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I guess that's it. I really need to explore more of her discography. Yeah. Go ahead.
I guess an interesting thing about her is I'm discovering now what most of her music was like, and it really is fascinating how different what they're known for or their big hit can be from really the rest of their body of work.
Definitely something she has in common with Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
People know him for Bang the Drum All Day, which he wrote that in 2 minutes to fulfill the record contract for the number of songs that had to be on the record. And what do you know? Of course, it blows up and it becomes this big sports anthem. And now people just know him for that. You know, when I tell people Todd Rundgren's a genius, people look at me funny, and the Bang the Drum guy. Oh, he's a genius.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, you don't know the half of it. Bang the Drum is not even the least bit representative. Plus, he co-invented the tablet. I mean, people don't even realize that, but that's another whole thing. But anyway, not to get too far off course here, but yes, Jill Sobule, yes, definitely an artist whose hits are not representative of the full body of work, barely the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, yeah.
And one more cool factoid about her. Apparently, she always used a travel-size guitar because that was, she was apparently short and petite and and handling, holding a bigger guitar just wasn't comfortable. So she always, at all her big shows and everything, she would play this little travel-size guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The little clip that I saw of her singing the Bobby Gentry song, she was playing a guitar that looked really small, and I couldn't actually figure out quite what it was. But now I know. Thank you. Because it wasn't shaped quite normally either. I mean, it almost looked like a mandolin or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Martin guitar company, I don't know whether it's still the case, but certainly for a while there, their portable size guitar had a strange shape to it. That was one trademark of theirs. The Taylor Guitar Company made portable guitars that were shaped like guitars, but Martin, it was that weird. Is it a mandolin? Is it some medieval instrument? What is that thing?
Right, exactly. Yeah. A lute. Yeah.
Right, a lute. Yeah, a lyre. It looks like it could be any one of those things, but yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for that tidbit.
Of course. Hey, I'm a short girl. I got to stand up for us wherever we are. Short Jewish girls of the world represent.
Short Jewish bisexual girls of the world.
Yes. Yep.
And we didn't say, a lot of places are reporting that Jill Sobule had the first top 20 hit that was expressed openly gay, or like open same-sex attraction, which is interesting. Because when we did our list, we were like, well, that Sophie B. Hawkins,
right? She
barely but I don't know how open it was. So I guess you could argue about that.
But she did use the feminine pronoun.
She did, yeah, she did. It just wasn't it wasn't as explicit, I guess.
Yeah, it just appeared once in one of the verses.
Yeah.
So I guess it's easy. I guess it's easy to slip under the radar when it's not blatantly the subject of the song.
Yeah. So.
And I was reading apparently that the video for I Kissed a Girl, which we were discussing, a lot of that was inspired by the pulpy novels of the 1950s, and that was the aesthetic they were going for.
Oh, okay.
So that was why it was the the whole '50s
The
housewife
50s.
thing. 'Cause
Okay.
it was the pulp aesthetic they were going for.
Cool. Well, on that rather sad but still, I don't know what note.
Yeah, we should do a tribute show if we're ever in the same place, same time. We should do like a show, a live show of covering Jill Sobule songs.
Sure. Yeah.
Get some other queer artists involved. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
yeah.
Well, on that, somber but respectful note, from the West Coast, I'm Shaqueera.
From the East Coast, I'm Fox Populi, and this sophisticated culture.